warmly welcome to this masterclass. My name's Henry. I have been a tutor, coach and mentor to young people and their parents for the last 20 years, especially the last 5 years. Please get settled, be in a good space to be able to take it all in. It's absolutely packed. I'm going to try and get through it all as quickly and as easily as I can. Okay, so the current situation, I'm going to be really quick through these first few slides. Yeah, I didn't want to go into any of this. I mean, I spent a long time preparing this masterclass, and I just didn't want to get bogged down in any of these areas, especially number one, the education system. It is what it is, and I'm sure it's partly responsible for driving you to this masterclass. The global health situation, you know, as parents, this slide is just saying, wow, there's a lot going on. You know, it's a crazy time, very dynamic time, rapid technological advance. Employment futures for our children are so dynamic, so unknown. We do have this situation and yet with young people at the moment of great rising anxiety, pressure and depression. And also we are, I think, laboring under old parenting models. And, you know, I'm a parent, we can all hold our hands up for these. And again, I'm not going to go into exactly what they are, but they're probably pretty obvious once I do go into the subsequent slides. So, okay, what are our goals here? What are we? And in the title of the talk, there's quite a lot of yeah, how to motivate teenagers. Well, what are we trying to motivate them to do exactly? I love these big questions. They don't often get asked in terms of education. What's education for? You know, what is our purpose as parents? What are we trying to motivate our kids to do? So these are really from my Facebook group and from my market research and from my experience. This is what parents say. This is what we want them to do. So we want them to work hard at school. That's probably, I imagine, if I did another poll, that would be 80% of you put your hands up for that. But also, you know, some are more interested in having kids who are interested, passionate, engaged, dynamic, fulfilled. Kids who are showing ambition, you know, who want to achieve and succeed. The next one, read more, game less. That was just a bit of a tease thing. But, you know, some of us want our kids to read more. We're still holding on to that kind of old, in a way, that old way. And then gaming. Wow, don't get me started. It's a very hot topic, very good topic in the Facebook group, gaming, the positives and the negatives. Yeah, having our kids be more active, especially when they're teenage, bit more being outdoors more. Strange times for that with lockdown, of course. And then just being entrepreneurial. You know, some parents are really wanting their kids to kick on and have a business mindset and to embrace this fantastic opportunity. The world is so rich with opportunity for young people who know what they're about, to go out there and be extremely successful without any of the usual paths to do so. So here is our parent checklist. Now this is basically in this master class and in my work and with all the parents I work with, including the Facebook group, this is what I ask for from parents. It is a leap of faith. You know, I do want us to break from the old parenting ways. And in some ways that means stepping back. It actually means doing less as a parent, doing less so that your kids can step into that space and lead and do more. So trust is massive. Being able to trust our children to develop themselves, to take on their own exams, to get their own life plan in order, to have that space and time and your support and trust of them to take responsibility. So it's an invitation for you to, in any way, hand over as much responsibility as you can as early as possible. And it means taking some risk. It means the possibility of them failing because we're no longer managing the situation as parents. But that is the way to go once your children hit the teenage years, to hand over that responsibility. Love, unconditional love. Of course, you know, that's what is going to be a great context for children to flourish. So they need your unconditional love. They need you to love them no matter what they think they want to do or what you might want them to do. And they need that love to be current, like day to day, week to week, present. And they also need our openness. as parents, our openness to what they think, what they might want to do. It might be totally different to what we want. What they say, they might come out with stuff that completely presses our buttons. You know, we need at this stage as parents to have some humility about our own opinions and our own wishes for them and what we think is right, to support their own self-leadership. Let them go for it, you know, so long as it's not harming them, to allow them to lead on some things that we might not agree with, and to learn their own lessons there, and see where they end up. Yeah. Respecting their opinions and judgments, I've already mentioned. Communication is huge. And again, with problems, so-called problems in the Facebook group, the Young Fire Facebook group I run, this comes up again and again as the solution, to have this bridge of communication with your child where they can talk to you about any of this difficult stuff. Perhaps here we're talking about career, exams, schoolwork, but it also could be sex, drugs, you know, all the difficult areas, gaming, how much they're gaming, what they're playing, and, you know, communication, having that openness to be in communication with your child about that takes all of the risk and all of the warring and all of the difficulties away. If you can talk with your child about what you want and they can talk about what they want, that is so empowering for their prospects and for your family lives and harmony as well. So yeah, for communication, sometimes that's a question of rebuilding your trust. If you've been heavy with them in their younger years, when they're teenage and they're coming for you, that's when you need to, yeah, be humble, be open, and communicate with them, see what they want, you know. And forgive me if any of this is obvious to you. It won't be obvious to everyone. Trust me, I've had a lot of experience. So it's just to go through everything a bit exhaustively, and booking in that time to communicate with them, booking in time every week to be with them, every day, every week, depends on how, you know, as often as you can, to have that time with them, to be able to have these talks about life openly, and also just for the love, to be there, sometimes not talking about it, not talking about the exams the whole time, or the schooling, or the future, or the career. Just being together also with no attention on that is very powerful. And then mentorship. I am a mentor, so I can't help this. I see that one of the biggest weaknesses in our modern day society is not having a village that can help us raise our children. The isolated family model is just so difficult for parents. So, you know, my heart goes out to you. I'm also a parent, so I'm in this too. But, you know, I've been very lucky with my children and with the village that they've grown up in. So, you know, mentorship is just such an incredible plug-in. You know, that's what I offer myself as, is a mentor, someone who can be like an elder, if you like, or, you know, a godparent, a family relative. You know, if your children don't have close adults in their lives, people who are teachers even, who are really paying attention to their development, then that is a great thing to go looking for them to go looking for. People find them, my students have found them everywhere, down the gym, music teachers, a restaurant owner, you know, just everywhere, you know, in the boxing club, you know, people who go beyond just what they're teaching, and who give your children, your teenagers, a perspective of being an independent adult, having their own life, having their own yeah, just having their life outside of the family. You know, when kids hit 13 or 14, in my experience, they are looking outwards. They don't really often want to be spending lots of time with their parents or listening to their parents. They're looking for the influences from elsewhere. So good mentors, community leaders, people who are in your area, anyone who you can find who's a good mentor, a good fit for your child in their opinion, great. Then that's so brilliant for them. Okay, my mission. So I'm interested in shifting culture for parents. You know, I'm more in the area of family than I am in schooling. I've never been a school teacher, nor have I been drawn to the education system. So for me, the change happens with us, and so I'm inviting you as parents to make this shift. Going back to that list, the parent checklist. This is such a great foundation for for change, for empowerment, and for your kids to be able to be self-motivated, intrinsically motivated, happy and well. So yeah, this is my mission, a parent-led culture shift. I want to liberate families from unnecessary anxiety, pressure, and stress. This is so widely recognized that this is the situation we have, especially for our young people with our schooling system and everything else. Harmonization for families, that's what I want. That's a great, that's a bedrock for a motivated, happy child. Helping ground young people, bringing them out of this, you know, the mania and the pressure, the mania of social media and whatever else might be going on, the pressure of life, so that, you know, confidence can grow into real substance. They can have the time and the space and the peace to develop themselves in an open way. You know, we've lost that to some degree. And so we as parents, we can give that to our children in so many ways. Teaching, well, yeah, with relaxation as the mode, not struggle and effort. Sorry, folks, but I am done with struggle and effort. The industrial approach to life, the last 150 years of schooling, yeah, for me, relaxation is absolutely the way I want to be doing everything. That's what gets the best results in my experience. And it's the same with my students. When they can relax, then they can think, then they can essay plan, then they can answer maths questions that they might be intimidated by to begin with. So yeah, relaxation, that's what I'm training up in all of my sessions, a completely relaxed atmosphere to operate optimally. Teaching self-direction, I'm an absolute champion of self-direction. I'll explain a bit more about that later on. So yeah, for learning and for life. Self-direction in school or out of school, in any hobbies or activities, it all fuels a young person's development and confidence and empowerment. Giving young people a platform for genuine life satisfaction and flourishing. Yeah, my ambition when they're 14 is I want to see them setting themselves up for life. You know, it's not just to get through the GCSEs, it's to imbue real meaning in their studies so that they are, and their lives, like I said, with their hobbies or their extracurricular activities, so that they actually go into the working world ready to go, ready to deliver, ready to contribute. So yeah, in this way, this is my contribution to our global future. You know, we have a world that definitely needs this input. All right, self-direction. Yeah, this, for me, this is it. I had an absolute epiphany as a teacher. You know, this is what's needed. For me, this is what's needed for education. I don't want to get into the system itself and how to change it in this way, but self-directed learning, you know, meaningful learning and profound personal development, you know, really learning just, it just ain't happening unless it's self-directed in some ways. And so yeah, with self-directed learning, the proof is in the pudding. And this is also the acid test of any session I ever do. I am there in the session to enjoy myself, and I expect my student to do the same. And, you know, my students, they want to come back. You know, that's my immediate result. When I take on a new client, my wish is to make a relationship with them where that's the context. Enjoyment, also exploration of anything cannot be the initial subject to begin with, and curiosity just generally with anything that we are exploring, that we're looking at. I want, yeah, and through self-direction, I want our young people to find the loves of their lives, you know, meaning not so much people, that as well, meaning their passions, their interests. You know, it's only for me when a young person starts leading on their own development, leading in a subject, actually opening up English or maths, or opening up boxing, or getting into whatever it might be, you know, editing, film editing or filmmaking. It's only through that you really start to explore and develop yourself and your loves before you enter the working world. So I often frame this window of 14 to 24. That is playtime for me. That is a time when every young person should be exploring their loves and passions. Working very hard in school, those can be the passions, of course, as well. That's what they're meant to be. All the subjects can be that. But anything, self-direction, just developing things, using that time before people traditionally go off and get a job, to really discover what your life contribution could be, what your work could be, your life work. And yet, to me, there is a cost which is a reason for this great epiphany and leap into self-direction of just playing the game, playing along. I've seen far too many students just ticking the boxes, hoop jumping, and it's empty learning. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's paperwork. I have no idea how much that paperwork is going to be worth in 5 years' time. It's not worth that much now. But so, you know, to me, there is a cost in just not investing, not having someone actually leading their own educational journey, still being managed by mum and dad. You know, it sets people back, and it erodes confidence, and it means that children come out of these years not really knowing what they're about, and they just then have to get a job, and you know, it's nowhere near as pointed as someone who has exposed their own passions and developed them and knows exactly what they're going to do. So yeah, building confidence and maturity to self-develop in all ways. Hobbies are definitely included. You know, to me, they're just as important. Anything that anyone loves and is developing, to me, that's what they should be doing when they're young. And this overflows into self-leadership generally, self-directing your own subjects. Then, you know, you know what it's like to pick something up and to develop it. Then in the working world, you can also just start to develop skills. You know, once you're self-directing, you can do anything. The internet is just an absolute treasure trove of training that you can do, but you have to want it. You have to want to do it, and to be experienced, if you like, in driving your own learning. So it leads into world interests and life direction too. And the future is, for me, that the employment future is wide open for people who know what they're about, people who know what makes them tick, who have gone with their loves and their passions, and who've developed them in school and out of school, and who've had that maturity to take it on for themselves. The world is their oyster. The employment world is being reinvented by entrepreneurs, and it's going to continue in that vein. People making positions, work positions that don't even exist now, and the old institutions, you know, fading, many of them. All right, so this is a quote from Sal Khan. He's a hero of mine. This quote just blew me apart when I read it from his brilliant book, The One World Schoolhouse. So I just wanted to drop this in. Only by the student taking responsibility for their own learning does true learning become possible. That I wholeheartedly believe. Unless the student is actually invested in their own learning, owning their own learning process, and driving their own learning in their subjects, I don't think much learning is really going on. It can't be called learning like the learning that is consuming you and which you are driving. So yeah. All right, kickstarting self-direction. These are the moves I often make in my first few sessions. I wanted to share with you really openly, excuse me. Yeah, I wanted to share really openly what I do. You know, when I meet young people, like I said, some people who, when I say I work with teenagers, some people just can't believe it. It's like the worst job they can ever imagine. So, you know, it's tough. You get into a room with an awkward teenager, you don't know each other, and, you know, I want to make this relationship with them. I want to bring in the trust. And so these are some of the things they do. I want to set out my stall properly so that it's going to work. One thing I do is I show them the door if they don't want to be there. If there's any sense of them not wanting to be there, I want openness. I want my students to be open, and I can make them more open. I can bring out their openness by making it optional. I'm not a tutor for hire. I'm not, like it says here, I'm not a school teacher. I'm a completely independent educator and authority. I'm not being dictated to by the parents, and the parents know that. You know, when we work together, I'm very clear about that I have my own agenda, which is to enable self-direction in their child. So I make sure that my student knows that we're not boxed in any of these ways. They have choice. Finally, like I said, they've got choice as to whether they want to work with me, whether they want to further themselves in these subjects or not. And the door is there, and it's fine, you know, and some have walked back out the door, not many. And I think for them, it's been one of the best lessons, best sessions, or best teachings they've had. It's like, whoa, okay, now I'm back on my own again. He's not going to work with me. Okay. You know, that in itself is powerful, I think. So, yeah, I'm not a school teacher. I have this independent authority. And yeah, it's important also not to be kind of on the parents' payroll. I've had to clear that up with a few of the young lads I've taught, you know, just to make sure that they yeah, it's important anyway. It helps. So in that, I am role modeling to them my own freedom, independence, and autonomy, exactly what I want for them. And the atmosphere in the session is like that. It is, we're free, we're adult, we're respecting, loving, it's easygoing, and it's focused, and it's fun. The work we're doing is enjoyable. And it's up to them as well. You know, they're leading on all of that, bringing all that in. So the next thing we do is we make a plan together. And often, if there is any problems there with the attitude or the sense of whether we should work together or not, I cast the net super wide. I mean, I start with like, are you planning to leave school? Like, is that what we're talking about here? And of course, that is appropriate for like 5% of the population. You know, so it is highly appropriate for them. I'm teaching one now. He was much better off outside of school. But for many kids in school, that's not really an option. It's not really what they want. It's a big risk. They don't have the wherewithal to take their own lives on like that. It's brave. So, you know, I start the process of them really thinking about their own lives, their own futures, their own responsibilities like that. You know, are you quitting school? Okay, no. So then what are we going to do? You know, you've got 2 more years of studying English. What are you going to do? Just carry on hating it, like, you know, sitting there and hating your teacher and thinking you're rubbish at it, whatever. Like, what can we make of this situation? So that really helps open young people up to like the fact that they have options. And yeah, my sincere wish for them is really their own happiness. And I suppose that's one reason why I separate myself from school and parents, because, you know, I really am an independent. I've got no vested interest. And so it's easier for me maybe to convince them of that I really do just want what's best for them and also what they want. All right, so my aims for all teenagers, yeah, I want to activate their natural maturity. Now, I think this has to be activated, and I do think we babyfy, or whatever the word is, our children, you know, as parents and as a school system and as a culture. We don't enable this step up in maturity and the taking on of responsibility early enough. It also means giving up on negative speech. Like I said, I hate English. I'm so bad at English. You know, I hate my teacher, school's rubbish, whatever. And as parents, I don't recommend you support them too much in that unless you are going to move schools. You know, there's a lot of negative speech which shuts the door on any possible enjoyment in that subject or with that teacher or at that school. These are hideouts. I want the kids I work with to step up in school, you know, to make it work for them or leave. Like I say, like to make it work, drop all the negativity and just take what they can out of it or leave. Yeah, so also for them to take responsibility. I want to create for them the time and space and freedom where they can actually find their own mode, their own direction. And in some ways I broker that space for them, time and space and freedom, from their parents and from school as well. You know, I come in with a fresh context for all of it to give them proper purpose and life direction. Age 14, let's say, you know, I'm completely open to what they say, what they, you know, if they say, oh, I want to do this, I just listen to it. You know, I want to game all the time. All right, cool. You know, I want to join the army. You know, lots of parents have shared with me stuff that for them, they can't even listen to it. I can listen to it, and it really helps empower the relationship. And I do recommend for parents that you also open up to whatever your kids are saying and just take some interest in it. Take it in at least and let them have their opinions. I do want all teenagers I work with and all teenagers generally to self-direct their learning, which means also taking it on for themselves, managing their own schedule and their routines. This leads into self-leadership in life. It leads to real like vision, passion, and drive for what they might want to do. Like I say, I've got countless students currently and in the past who have just, you never know where it's going to lead. You know, when you're self-directing, anything can happen. Things come up, music, work opportunities, yeah, countless explorations that they go off into, which can become life and work and life passions. So yeah, fundamentally, bottom line, I want us as a society and as parents to produce students who are substantial, you know, who walk into that interview, if they ever do, age 24, whatever it is, and they know they own that role. You know, they've developed their passion in that area. They've got tons of skills to offer to that role. They are substantial. They haven't just been through the system, done what they're told, got the exams, been to the next place, and then come out with no idea. They really do. They've got the aura of substance, and employers don't miss it. You know, so that's what I want for them, to through self-development, which is for me another word for education. I'd like education. I know self-development means something else as well, but just for kids to be developing themselves. That's what the offer of education actually is in the broadest sense in those years, 14 to 20. This is to do with my real love of these two subjects, basically, that I know what these two, I know why we do GCSEs in these subjects. To me, it's not wrong. It's just the way the students are doing it and the way we're demotivating our students in these subjects that's wrong. The actual subjects themselves are fundamentally awesome prospects for any willing students. So they do teach you how to think. This is how I teach English, how to think, how to organize your thoughts and present them clearly, how to relax under pressure. This is where I'm working, not so much in the kind of syllabus, the criteria of how you get the best grade or whatever. I want like real life skills from these subjects. So how to be reliable and robust, finding profound meaning and satisfaction in the ordinary. So that, you know, when a child realizes that they've overlooked schooling all their lives, and actually there's a great deal of satisfaction and meaning in there, that is game over for immaturity, really, and game on for self-development. Building inner confidence, mental resilience. Okay, let me just crack on. Building a relationship, because I do want to get to some Q&A. Yeah, this is how I build a relationship. You can also use this as well, of course, as parents. It does help to be an independent mentor, of course. That's why I recommend mentorship, so that you can spread some of that responsibility, delegate to others. But, you know, this is what I do when I build a relationship with young people. It's talking. I just talk to them, first session or first two, however long it takes. We're just talking. If they want to share their life with me, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to get to know them, have them get to know me. I want to build a real, sincere and true relationship so that we can learn together, so that I can teach them. It's not, I don't think it's really possible without that. So yeah, we explore their loves first. I show up each session pretty openly. Each time to them. I want them to realize that they're responsible also for the plan. Of course, I've got suggestions each time. I've been thinking about it during the week. But yeah, so we make a plan for the week. We go at their pace. Some want to crack straight into it. They're just like that. Some really don't. You know, they don't want to hit the books straight away. So we get to know each other, and I invite their responsibility in that way. And when they just start sharing about something, I listen to them. You know, like, it's not a deviation from the work for me. We balance that balance naturally comes in. We have a purpose. The purpose becomes more and more obvious as we spend time together. So I listen, and then very often they'll come back naturally to it. So I'm not trying to make them work the whole hour. I go at their pace and at their way of doing things. So yeah, and in this way I prove to them that I have no hidden agenda, which is something that most students, if they've been demotivated, that's what they're most paranoid about. Any adult just trying to push them in some sort of ways. Okay, I'm nearly there. So this is the parent checklist again. Just to recap, these are, in my opinion, the foundations for empowering intrinsic motivation in your child. Trust. I hope I'm speaking to you clearly, and that this is resonating and not just blatantly obvious to you, but all of us as parents could improve in these ways. Trust. You can always be more trusting, always give more responsibility and empowerment to your child. You can always show up for them more and be more loving and accepting, always be more open to them. You know, encouraging their own suggestions and opinions and supporting their life directions, whatever they are, whilst telling them if you don't agree, and, you know, with a gentleness that they can accept, giving them advice and guidance, and asking them if they want that. Crucial. Respecting their opinions and judgments. Communication, yeah, I urge you, of course, I'm sure you're all doing this, but communication about these difficult areas. Gaming is a great example. We've got people in the Young Fire Facebook group who are gaming with their children now, you know, at least just seeing what they do, just having conversations about it. You know, it's such a button pressing issue for parents. And, you know, in that way, they're harmonizing relationship, which is just of untold value in the family and of untold value for their schoolwork. You know, once that topic comes up, when you're all on the same page and the family is harmonized, then everything, that nothing's outside of the remit. There's no warring, there's no subtle game playing about someone wanting to do something different to whatever someone else wants. Yeah, and mentorship, urging you to go out there, find your mentors. It's a good segue for me. I am a mentor and I am available. So I'd love just to speak with you, especially if you're interested in mentorship for your child, or if I can talk you through in a strategy session, you know, what you can do. Please do follow up this meeting there. Take advantage of that. It's a free call. And we can just see if we're a good fit, and if not, that's fine, and how I can advise basically for you in your specific situation. And also, please, if you're on Facebook, you must join the Young Fire group. It's such an awesome group. Many of the people on this call are from that group. So yeah, there's a great deal of wisdom in there. It's a really empowering space for parenting and education going into the 2020s. Thank you all for being here. Please do book a call with me. I'd love just to speak with you. I'd love to offer you my services if that's a good fit. Otherwise, thanks for being here. And I hope to see you in the Facebook group or in a call in the next week. But yeah, so grateful for the opportunity to speak to you all, and wishing you a great rest of your day or night. All right, bye.